Perhaps you've been on a university campus. You've now seen not just signs, but actual big TV monitors. What are they called, Adrian? The jumbotrons? Sort of? Jumbotron. Like the size of this garage door with images of aborted babies. Now, maybe that makes you go, whoa. Scott Kluesendorf presents an argument. Zoinks, this one's pretty tough to beat.
Well, going back to Ephesians 5, don't cover evil deeds, expose them. But you look at social reform movements from the 19th and 20th centuries, and every single one of them used disturbing imagery to convey truths that couldn't be conveyed with words alone. And abortion is no different. Nobody you know in your churches would go to a lecture on the Vietnam War and be shocked to see images of naked children running from a village that's just been napalmed. That's expected. It's only on the abortion issue people say, hands off, you can't show the pictures. And when we're dealing with a culture that thinks right and wrong are preference issues, like choosing chocolate ice cream over vanilla, if you aren't showing images to restore a moral equilibrium, at least awaken a little bit their sense of moral intuition, I think you're fighting a huge uphill battle. But when we show those pictures, we need to do it with the grace and with pointing people to Jesus, who's the solution to their post-abortion guilt.
Same thing's true of the Holocaust. A lot of people didn't believe the Holocaust until they saw the pictures. Until they saw the images of what had happened to Jewish people in Germany. A lot of Germans didn't believe that it was happening until they saw the photographic evidence of what had happened to people. So this offends us. But before we get offended at this idea, remember that when God showed us how serious our sin was, he did it with the brutality of the cross. And it happened in public. And when we talk about the cross, we're talking about a brutal event that took place where the Son of God hung and died and was brutally murdered on a cross. And it was done as a public display. And it's that God used to show us the picture and the image of how serious our sin is. So if you get offended by the idea of showing people images of abortion, the correction doesn't need to come with the people who are showing the images. You need to re-educate your conscience.
Thought number one. How big is Voddie Baucham? His wristwatch is bigger than my son, and he's 15. Thought number two, have you ever thought about it in those terms? If you believe that we should never show images of aborted fetuses, and truly, I get that. I understand that. It's like, it's just visceral, the response to that, which is actually a strong argument for showing them, but just the same, I get it. You think too gruesome, what if children stumble upon them? That's why I think we need to be wise where we put them, when we put them, how we put them. But if you fall on that side, and I'm sympathetic to that, I get that, have you ever considered the cross? If we applied the same arguments for not showing images of aborted fetuses to the cross, then Jesus wouldn't have been crucified. If we thought, no public displays of bloody abuse, we can't have that, the kids might see it. Well, Jesus was publicly put on display for the world to see. The greatest event of all time, the purchasing of our souls, paying for our sins publicly so that you and I could be forgiven. Perhaps thinking about the gospel actually informs us on the issue of whether or not to show images of aborted babies in public.